Welcome to Mind Over Matter, looking at big ideas for business. Today we're going to be looking at how to win in business without competing. So the key here is not to focus on the competition. It's not to focus on the existing customers and the existing marketplace. So what we're looking at here is how to create new demand and redefine the marketplace. So what do you do that is different? One, you are not going to be competing in the market space. You're going to go and actually try to redefine and recreate the market space. Two, you're not trying to beat the competition. You're trying to make the competition irrelevant. Three, you're trying to create new demand rather than actually try to exploit existing gaps in the market space. Four, you're actually trying to break and change the rules of the game. And what ties up the game is your value that you're offering the customer and the cost that the customer associates with the value that they're getting. Now, if you're competing in the marketplace, you're actually trying to balance that scale with everyone else that's out there. So the aim of the game is change the rules. So that rule of value versus cost is changed in the eyes of the customer and how they assess that. 5, conventional thinking says you actually try to make yourself compete in the market space either through cost or by differentiating your product. Now, what we're going to be looking at is where you say you're not actually going to do either, you're going to do both. You're going to set yourself apart from everybody else that's in the marketplace by actually offering something that is different and also being able to differentiate through cost rather than just product. So the key here is the aim to challenge the existing industry norms. If you're applying conventional thinking, you would actually say, I'm going to compete with others in the marketplace. And the normal way that you would assess your environment or your marketplace is using the Porter 5 force model. This means where you're actually looking at the 5 forces. So you're looking at, normally, if you're competing, intensity of competition, the negotiating power of the customer, the negotiating power of the supplier, threat of substitutes for your product, and finally, the barriers of entry into the market. How easy is it for others to actually come into the marketplace to compete with you? Now, what we're looking at is where we're not trying to beat others and win business by trying to compete with them. We're actually trying to set ourselves apart from them. So instead of actually looking and focusing on that thinking, we're actually going to be looking at 4 questions. And those 4 questions are, what can we remove from the industry that's already there? What can we reduce in the industry that is already accepted as a norm? What can we increase in the industry that is accepted as the norm? And what can we create in the industry which isn't there? Under normal thinking, when you're actually looking at the competition mind frame, you're actually trying to say, how can I differentiate myself, cost-wise or through product? And then how can I actually create a speciality and where I can actually fragment the market and then have leadership and own that fragment of the marketplace? What we're talking about is how can we change the paradigm of the marketplace that you're in? How can you change how the customer, how you define that customer? So how do you break down those boundaries? And rather than actually fragment the market, you actually aggregate the market. So your target audience is significantly increased, the potential target audience that you can actually put your product to. 3 examples I can give you of using this strategy are 1, Cirque du Soleil. They provide a combination of ballet, opera, and circus to an upscale, trendy client base. 2, Wii, Nintendo Wii. Now, rather than them actually compete with PlayStation, Sega, and Microsoft by being able to compete on advanced features for gamers, they actually said, how can we actually change how the customer or the person that is actually playing the game is actually experiencing the game. So this is where they actually changed how you actually use the controls. So your interaction with the game is different, and therefore it actually opens it up to other people. So rather than it just be going for hardcore gamers, they could actually be then being able to offer and appeal to a new customer set. For example, the elderly, who can actually say, rather than actually try to fiddle with these console and figure out the configuration of the buttons and how they work, they're actually using something that's a little bit more intuitive. Like, for example, where they have the remote control where you can swing it like a bat. Or it has a steering wheel, which you can actually just use as you would as in a real car. So it's a different experience of how you interact with the game. 3, the cyclonic Hoover. So this is Dyson, where Dyson came in offering a bagless Hoover with no filters and offering cyclonic technology versus the conventional old school Hoover, which were going at about £100 each, £200 each. Dyson offers a premium product which can reach anywhere between £300 to £600. So using Cirque du Soleil as an example and applying this 4-step method that we just discussed of removing, reducing, increasing, and creating, we're going to show you how Cirque du Soleil were able to actually create market and demand for a new type of entertainment. So firstly, remove. So Cirque du Soleil, rather than compete like normal circuses and say, okay, we're going to try to compete by actually having top billing artists or performers, having animals there, having a variety of animals, they've said, okay, we're going to do away with both those features. So they've removed that altogether. So it's not even a factor that is considered in their offering to the marketplace. 2, what did they reduce? They actually reduced, like for example, when you go to a circus, because obviously normally these are transient, so they're actually traveling from place to place. They're actually going into a venue. They're going in with exotic animals. There's an element of danger there because obviously it's not like, let's say, like a zoo where obviously there's bars. You've got your seating area. You've got a net or whatever the guards are. And then you've actually got a performing area and you can have wild, dangerous animals there which are being trained but are still potentially dangerous. So they've actually done away with that. So they've reduced the risk associated with the entertainment of going to a circus. 3, increase. What have they increased? They've actually increased, Cirque du Soleil have increased the experience that they're actually offering to the customer. So what does that mean? So in our case, that means you go to a regular circus, they will try to accommodate and put up a marquee or put up a tent in a set venue and within the confines of a venue. Now, when you go to Cirque du Soleil, it's slightly different. They have their own design of tents. They have their own design of marquees. And it is so unique. When you actually step in, it doesn't matter whether you're in London, Paris, Canada, or you're actually in a very high-end premium place. They all have the same feel to them. So they all offer that sort of opulent sort of ambiance and comfort, which obviously then appeals to a high-end customer. And whichever one you go to, in whichever location, they all have that same feel. So the experience is consistent. So they've increased that factor. And finally, what if they created, by actually putting all this together, they've been able to create, by combining a hybrid of opera entertainment, circus entertainment, they've been able to create a experience for a customer which has a refined appeal. So this is a refined type of entertainment, and people don't mind paying the extra bit of money because they're still getting the thrill as you would get in a circus, minus the dangers associated with a circus. And I hope you found this clip helpful. And if so, please subscribe to my channel. Hope to see you in one of our other clips. See you soon.